Court in Accra on Tuesday, May 13. While Mr. Asamoah appeared and pleaded not guilty to all charges, the plea of Professor Gyamfi was deferred due to health-related reasons. The charges stem from a $2 million payment made to a private company under the SkyTrain project, a proposed urban transportation system that never materialized. According to prosecutors, the investment was made without proper due diligence and in breach of financial governance procedures, resulting in a total loss of the funds involved. And still on this issue, the Deputy Attorney General has been reacting to this. Take a look.
Look, let's be frank here. Our policy of recover the loot is simply primary. I mean, the first objective is to get the money. Because this country, as we know, has lost so much money through some of these decisions that public officials, some political, some civil, have made in this country. The primary objective of the ORA is to recover the money. We are open, and we cannot be tired of saying that we are open for anyone any of the accused persons or suspects in the other cases who think that they have the money and could return the money. We will be happy to have these monies to be used to solve some of the problems that we have in this country. Healthcare problems, transportation problems, salary problems, so many other problems that we have, sanitation problems. President John Mahama is interested in solving those problems, and we need money to solve them. So again, let me repeat that we will be happy to take any money that anyone has. And of course, the law allows us to have plea bargaining, which means that based on certain conditions and circumstances, we could vary the case that we put before the courts or the consequence of the crimes that we are alleging in court. So once we do that, and let me tell you, a number of people have approached us with offers, some including money being returned, and we have agreed with some of them. Some of them have agreed to be witnesses for us against some of the accused persons. So I think we are on track when it comes to the recovery. There's no better way of recovering the money than voluntary recovery. So if the people are willing to give us, we will take it. But that is not to say that you can keep the money and then serve jail terms and go for it, because there is an active process. The Attorney General has instituted an active process of recovering, tracing these monies. So I would say that whether you do it voluntarily or not, we would do whatever it takes in the name of the Republic of Ghana to retrieve every pesewa that we can from private hands and restore those monies to the people of Ghana and to the taxpayers of this country.
Dr. Justice Sremsai reacting to that matter. In other news, former Director General of the National Signals Bureau, Kwabena Edu Boahene, was re-arrested immediately after being granted bail in the ongoing 49 million cedis theft case today. This new arrest, stemming from a separate matter, was disclosed during court proceedings at the High Court in Accra on Tuesday, May 13, 2025. His lawyer, Samuel Atachia, informed the court that although his client had been granted bail following a 7-day remand, he was rearrested by security operatives shortly after his release. The earlier remand was granted on May 2 after the Attorney General accused Edu Boahene of interfering with witnesses in the initial case. And lawyer for the accused, Samuel Atachia, has also been speaking on this.
He should have his freedom yesterday. And they said they have another matter that they are investigating concerning him. So when he was supposed to have his freedom, by their calculation, They released him midnight, and then rearrested him on the basis of the newfound matters they were looking at. But the question is, in the period in which he had the freedom, why didn't they deal with the matter? And they'll leave it till midnight and rearrest him. Is somebody very excited that incarcerating another Ghanaian with all manner of tactics will aid justice? And that is unfortunate. He's gone back to the Yoko, and I'm going there now for me to come to terms with what is the new matter, what's the new issue. You see, because he's been there all this while, and if there were serious matters of consequence, and he's on 80 million Ghana cedis bail, he's living nowhere. Adubuahin's name and that of Angela, they are all over the nation.
More on these issues subsequently. You're watching News Tonight here on GHOne TV. We bring you insights next. Tonight on Insight, national organizer of the New Patriotic Party, Henry Nana Boakye, has called on President John Dramani Mahama to immediately interdict Sammy Gyamfi from his position as acting chief executive officer of the Ghana Gold Board, following public backlash over him gifting some dollar bills to self-styled preacher and former fetish priestess Patricia Oduro Kranting, popularly known as Nana Agrada. At a news conference at the MPP's party's headquarters in Accra, Nana B stressed the need for accountability and consistency in leadership, urging the president to take swift action against Sammy Gyamfi. More details now.
The opposition New Patriotic Party, during a press conference addressed by the party's national organizer, Henry Nana Boakye, says Sammy Gyamfi's public display of what it calls opulence and extravagance contradicts the principles expected of public servants.
We find ourselves in a very distressed situation, and yet if you have an appointee who is doling out dollars, that is serious. And we call on the president, if the president is unable to act on this matter, then the code of conduct must be shredded.
This act of opulence, according to national organizer of the MPP, Henry Nana Boakye, warrants an interdiction by the president, an investigation by state security.
We also call on the president to immediately interdict Mr. Sammy Gyamfi as an acting chief executive officer of Ghana Gold Board, or at least he should interdict him pending the conduct of the investigation by the criminal investigative authorities of the state.
National organizer of the MPP, Henry Nana Boakye, also took a swipe at some government officials who are also still occupying their roles in the party. According to Nana Boakye, this retention of dual roles strongly undermines Section 2 of the Public Service Act, which is an affront on the principle of neutrality.
The retention of these dual roles by political appointees under the NDC administration raises significant legal concerns regarding the Constitution of Ghana, particularly Article 94, which disqualifies a person from being appointed a member of parliament or a public officer if they hold dual offices that are inconsistent with the principles of public service. Furthermore, Section 2, this is more important, Section 2 of the Public Services Act prohibits public officers from engaging in business or holding any other positions that might undermine their impartiality and efficiency in their official capacities. The continued holding of political appointments alongside public office positions undermines the principle of neutrality in public service.
The party insists that decisive action must be taken to uphold the integrity of public office and send a clear message that such conduct will not be tolerated.
Well, let's stay on this issue. Joining us now is Deputy National Elections Director of the NDC, who doubles as CEO for the Ghana Investment Fund for Electronic Communications, GIIF. That's Dr. Rashid Tanko Computer, joining us via Zoom. Good evening to you, Dr. Computer, and thank you for joining us. Now, as you've heard, the MPP has criticized the holding of public sector officials as party officials as well, explaining that these are dual roles being held by these persons. Do you think that there is some ethical concern with regards to this?
In fact, the MPP is an embodiment of hypocrisy. The gentleman who addressed the press conference, I would describe him as a total embodiment of hypocrisy. What was his role in the MPP government? Nana Akufo-Addo, was he not a board chairman? He was chairing the board. He was chairing the board. And at the same time, he was the national organizer of the party. So at that time, he forgot his legal doings at that time. He didn't understand what he was talking about. You see, these people, when they are talking, sometimes they don't listen to themselves. They think that they went to different schools and other Ghanaians went to different schools. And so therefore, they profess things and want everybody to just follow them. He, just quite recent, before the lost election, he was the national organizer of the NPP as well as board chairman. He was chairing the board of Buffer Stock. He was the chair of Buffer Stock. Was that one an NPP organization? Was it not a state institution? Was Buffer Stock an NPP office where he was holding that as a board chairman of that thing? Or he doesn't understand the meaning of being a board chairman? That one, he was appointed by the president. So Nanado didn't know his legal rules that if you appoint an NPP national organizer as a board chairman of state institution, that one they are violating the very constitution of which he's quoting. Hypocrites. That's how NPP. I'm not surprised they got 38% in the last election.
Okay, so Dr. Tanko, you say it's hypocrisy, but looking at it from a broader perspective, does the fact that the two administrations have permitted this violation of this section of the Constitution, does it make it right?
To the reality of it. Look, let me tell you. There's a difference between occupying a public office and a civil service. There was a ruling on it. You remember the case against Ghana Railway Authority of workers who were sacked. And in fact, interestingly enough, it was Afenyo Makin who was the lawyers of those people at the Supreme Court. Because the gentlemen working at Ghana Highway Authority went and participated in the primaries of a political party. He was asked to step aside. But the court held that he did not do anything wrong because as a public servant, you are allowed to participate in any political activity. It's just that make sure that your position does not injure what you are doing in the public office. But it doesn't stop you. It's different from being a civil servant. Civil service is different from public service. And that's why I'm saying that it's like Natalie doesn't understand this. And that is why he was able to cruise through under Buffer Stock. And nobody saw anything wrong with it. Nobody said anything wrong with it. Today he is now reading law to us. He is trying to explain to us that when you are holding public office, what crime have we committed in anything that all the officers who have been appointed and they are saying, is it the first time he's seeing a political office holder holding a public office as well?
Do you think it presents a conflict of interest?
At that time, they didn't see the meaning of that law.
Right. Fair enough. However, do you think it presents a conflict of interest nonetheless?
There is no conflict of interest whatsoever. There is a thin line between the government and the political party that brought it into power. There's a thin line. The actors who brought the party into power, okay, is the same actors who are constituting governance of the state. Because we drew the manifesto and we know the in and out of the manifesto, so we can implement it. So they want us to bring Nanabi and Co to come and implement it for what? Is that what they're telling us? Nanabi to come and implement our policies and his group, his likes. What did they know about this thing? Ghanaians gave us the mandate. Over 57%. And almost 200 MPs in parliament to have peace of mind to rule this country. And we are doing it. You see, it appears they are having something wrong with them. When they are speaking, they don't reflect and then think before they just come in.
Dr. Computer, let's move and talk about this topical issue now. The MPP is calling for an investigation into Sammy Gyamfi because of the gift given to Agrada. What's your reaction to this?
In fact, it's much ado about nothing. What they are just doing is that because for the 4 months that we have been in government, the MPP, they have been fishing every day just to get one scandal and tag it on His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, but they are not getting. They scan through all the agencies, all the ministry departments, just to get one scandal. They are not getting.
Well, why do you say it's much ado about nothing?
On it and making all manner of noise about
right,
this one.
Dr. Computer, why is it you see no wrong with what Sammy Gyamfi did?
He has not committed any wrong. Tell me, they should mention any law that he has violated in this country. The code of conduct the president launched, they should go and read it.
The code of conduct doesn't.
To be lawyers.
Right, the code of conduct doesn't directly.
See whether he has violated any of the codes. I gave a scenario this morning, and I'm saying that now what they are telling us is that politicians should not go to funeral house, we shouldn't go to adoring, we shouldn't go to wedding and parties, because when you go there, you will make donations. And when you make donations, and then some idiot will film you and say you are dishing out money. So these days you can't even help somebody to pay his school fees. If a farmer should come with a child and ask me to assist them to pay school fees, and I pull out money to say, go and pay, take this one, assist yourself and pay the fee, and then you tell me I've committed a crime, I must come and answer. We must dismiss them with what they are doing.
So finally, the code of conduct launched by the president doesn't speak directly to gift giving by political appointees. It speaks more so to receiving gifts and how that should be handled. Will you say that given its silence on this matter, it poses some form of a problem?
That is not the case. We are saying that the situation, the circumstances under which the given is taken, that is what we are looking at. The code of conduct is not silent about it, but it talked about the circumstances under which you are given that thing. If I come to give you money to influence your reportage, there's an issue in my office, and I come to give you money as if I'm giving a gift, but it's meant to influence you about your reportage or the incident in my office. That one cannot be described as a gift that I'm helping you. It's meant to influence what you are coming to do. That is what they are talking about. Yes, so anything you are given and it's meant to influence the action of the receiver, in which will inure to the.
Okay.
Please point the person to answer.
Right, Dr. Computer, it appears
there's nothing for him to answer.
Right,
what crime has he committed?
For purposes of time, so finally, there have been varied reactions to this, and we know that President Mahama speaks highly in terms of maintaining this code of conduct among public officials to reduce corruption and the perception of corruption. You, in your view, nothing at all, no action at all should be taken against Sammy Gyamfi for this?
I have not seen anything wrong with it. I'm saying that is why he came out publicly. He's a gentleman. Apologized. He has apologized to the good people of Ghana and said maybe there's an indiscretion on his part. He has done that. The chief of staff has invited him. This is what a good president does. The presidency invited him to listen to him. You don't just take video footages and analyze it and get away. The presidency invited him. He has given his version to the presidency, waiting for the president to come. They will talk to the president. The president will have a full understanding of it. This is not a president who will dismiss the matter before you even invite. You remember what was happening under MPP? When you level allegation at somebody, they will dismiss it at the presidency before they even invite the person to listen to the person. We saw the likes of the love letter he wrote for the sanitation minister. When the issue of bank accounts being opened in her bedrooms came out, the president wrote a love letter exonerating the lady before even investigation could start. This is not the president we are talking of. This is the president who respects Ghanaians and said, Sammy, if you come and listen, we want to hear you. Come and brief us. After the brief, then they can take it on from there.
Dr. Tanko Computer, thank you for your time this evening and joining us here on News Tonight. Well, still on related developments, the woes of embattled acting CEO of the Ghana Gold Board, Sammy Gyamfi, continues to deepen as a private citizen, Eric Dumenu Akachi, has formally petitioned the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice charge to investigate the source of funds he publicly donated to self-styled evangelist Nana Agrada. The petition comes on the back of widely circulated videos showing Sammy Gyamfi handing over bundles of US dollars to the controversial preacher. While calls mount for his dismissal, the petitioner is invoking Article 218, Section E of the 1992 Constitution, which mandates charge to investigate alleged or suspected corruption and abuse of power by public officials. We'll stay on this. We have governance analyst Professor Ejini Boateng on the issue raised by Nana B over NDC executives having government appointments. Joining us via phone this evening. Good evening to you, sir. Thank you for joining us here on News Tonight. Now, touching on the comments made by Nana B when in the process of addressing the cash donation of Sammy Gyamfi, he said party executives should not be allowed to hold public sector leadership roles while actively serving in partisan capacities. What's your take on this from where you sit?
Thank you very much. Thank you for the good work you do for the country. I don't think it's a big thing. Our system allows something which we know that the MPs themselves, majority of the executive ministers are picked from parliament. So obviously it's not a new thing for somebody doing this and another thing. Okay. Generally we've said people can be multitask. They can do A and do B. But accountability is what is important. Whatever you do, you should be in a position to account the people. That's what is important, not that somebody necessarily doing this which brings some trouble. No, and we know that the previous government, yes, things happened, and even before investigation, we have what we used to call the trailing agent or the president to play, he hasn't done anything wrong, this and that. But that's not the situation now.
Right. So you say it's not quite a concern. Well, how about constitutionally? Does it not show that we're somewhat violating that section of the Constitution which highlights that it is serving in dual roles where there could potentially be some conflict of interest?
Well, I don't think why there is a conflict of interest, it will show up and people will know. But in terms of serving two roles, that's why I went back to the lawmakers themselves,
right.
The MPs. They are able to serve as ministers. A majority of the ministerial appointments are given to the MP. Then another person can be part of the party and also serve in a position. So I don't think there's a conflict of interest. Where there is conflict of interest, yes, they will do. And in terms of the case which has been raised, the whole thing is a little bizarre. But this young man has been giving gifts to people. Dollars is not now. It's not now. He has been giving it. But if I listen to the woman, the Reverend herself,
right?
How she had never met Gyamfi. No, she didn't even know it. So he saw her coming. Then he told the husband that they should stop. Then he saw Sammy Gyamfi. Then she went there and apologized and other things apologized to him, to the presidential candidate, meaning JM, for all what he did. Because I heard one that people voted for the then he used a curse there.
Right.
And he apologized on all those things. And yes, this young man, this is not new, as Katawale said, he gives money and dollars to people, even when we were in opposition. So what he did wasn't strange, but what happened was that she was giving something to the woman, and she said for fuel. The woman requested. And she said, okay, after she had given something, so why don't you give all to me? Then the woman snatched the money.
Yes, that was what the video showed.
Yeah, so I don't think that's something which has anything to do with conflict of interest.
You say it's bizarre. You say you describe the whole situation as bizarre, and as you put it, certainly Sammy Gyamfi has engaged in giving money to personalities, and some of these events may not have been filmed, may not have been on camera, which is why we are not privy to them. But we do have the case where politicians are gifting money, and However, this specific issue has raised a lot of public outcry and outroar. How do you think it should be dealt with by the president? President John Dramani Mahama has spoken extensively about reducing corruption, the perception of corruption, and dealing with such issues when brought forward. How do you think it should be dealt with? Should the president be silent on it? Should there be some repercussion taken against Sammy Gyamfi, or should it just business as usual, just carry on?
I believe, if you recall, I've read his piece, Sammy Gyamfi, how he has sincerely apologized.
He has.
For situation, because he thought what he was doing was even in private.
Yes.
He didn't think somebody was screening it to go and put it on the public domain and all that sort of thing. Oh yes, even if he has been doing this for long, but definitely he apologized, and yet I think I heard he went to the chief of staff and all that.
Yes.
He will apologize, and it's not business as usual. Yes, he's a young man, so she could be giving some advice. Yes, people know that it's something he has been doing. So they have to warn him and say he should be careful where he does something and all that sort of thing. And so that life will go on. It's not a new thing. And in the position to receiving something as the public servant is what is not allowed.
Right.
But there's nothing like you cannot give. Especially if you are giving something, not expecting any return. If you are giving something that you want a return, then it looks like it's a bribery thing, or bribing somebody or some offer or something. If somebody has asked you, that's okay. Yes, at times we all do. Even though some of us don't have math, and someone say, "Oh, please, can you give me this and that?"
Right.
And you give up without even standing there for them to thank you.
Very well. So in rounding up, you do not think that this warrants a dismissal of any sort? An apology is sufficient, you say?
No, I don't think so. I think he realized it and he apologized. So I don't think this should lead to anything. But I'm glad that there is the policy and all that, that people will be alert and see whenever he's about to do things. Now he will look around himself before, if he wants to help somebody, he will go ahead and do it.
Professor Eugene Boateng, thank you so very much for your time this evening and your thoughts on this issue. Well, let's return to our earlier report, still on this development, as the petitioner Eric Dumenu Akachi joins me over the telephone lines now for more on this development. Good evening to you, Eric, and thank you for joining us here on News Tonight. Now, you have officially petitioned the OSP to look into this issue and the source of the money given by Sammy Gyamfi to Agrada, as he described as a gift. Firstly, do you have any direct or circumstantial evidence which actually suggests that this money which Mr. Sammy Gyamfi donated came from public funds, or was improperly acquired, or was it just his own personal money?
Good evening to your viewers and listeners. I have written a petition to SHRAJ to investigate the source of income of Sammy Gyamfi, because as you can see in the video, he was giving dollars to an individual, and somebody was sitting there and was doling out the money, and that is just an amount of money that we've seen that he has given to somebody. Perhaps he himself said that he's been doing that as a charity and is part of his life. So if he's going out giving dollars to people as charity and part of his daily activities, then it begs the call that we find out the source of income. And that is why I have petitioned that they investigate and see whether his income resonates with his public giving. And because he's a public figure, he's holding a public trust fund, and we have to know that and be sure that our funds are not being used in a manner that is disproportionate to the purpose for which they are supposed to be used for.
Right, Eric. So you want this investigation to address the source of his income generally and see if it meets the level of charitable acts he engages in.
Exactly. That is the purpose of the petition. So it's not anything personal. I'm just exercising my right as a citizen and also calling on institutions of state to investigate the matter so that we will hold public officers in trust. Because if this continues, who knows that one day we wake up and all our monies, we hear that this money is gone. Already, we had that issue of Madam Cecilia Dapa, and it came into the public space. And I'm happy people are petitioning. So this one, I'm also petitioning that something is done, an investigation is carried. If it's clear that no, the monies he's giving and the monies he has in his account are proportional to his income, then so be it.
Now, do you believe that this act alone constitutes corruption, or are you asking for this investigation to determine if there's a deeper abuse of office?
Yes, I'm asking to see if there's an abuse of office or if he's using public funds inappropriately, and that is the main purpose. So, and also to be doling out dollars in public. You see, I was telling someone that if we are giving dollars and every individual decides to have to go and withdraw dollars given out in public, what are we doing as public officials?
Does it change your perspective in the sense that you mentioned that to give out these dollars in public, as he has stated or expressed that he was not privy to the fact that this engagement with Agrada was being filmed? In that case, it's not therefore public, as you put it. Does that in any way change your perspective? Because certainly he has been engaging in these acts privately.
Yes, so that's why I want his income to be investigated. So that's the main issue. Because he himself has alluded as being engaging in this act. Imagine you are giving somebody an amount, and if you give 10 people a day, let's even say that it's $800 that is being alluded to. You can count that. And what is his income? So that is what I am interested in. That's why I have personally petitioned Shrat to look into the issue.
Well, thank you for joining us this evening, Eric, the petitioner on this matter. We'll certainly bring you more on it subsequently. And that wraps up Insight here on News Tonight. You're watching News Tonight. In business news this evening, President John Dramani Mahama has given the clearest indication yet that his administration will work to clear debts owed to independent power producers, IPPs, by early 2026. Ghana's energy sector has long been plagued with mounting debts which delayed payments to power producers, posing a significant threat to the energy sector and energy security. Speaking at the Africa CEO Forum in Abidjan, President Mahama stressed that his government is committed to improving the sector's financial health through reforms and increased private sector involvement.
On my second coming, we met a messed up energy sector with debts of almost 2.5 billion owed to independent power producers, to gas suppliers and everybody. And so what the previous government started it, but we're continuing it. They've been trying to renegotiate the debt and then see how we can ring fence it. We have some strategies for dealing with it. And I'm sure that by the end of the year, early next year, we should be able to make everybody happy, in terms of, dealing with that debt. We need to clean the slate. But in cleaning that slate, we must look at the whole value chain, because a lot of the problem is coming from downstream, the distribution end, because of the state-owned utility. ECG is not as efficient in collecting revenue. We are experiencing technical and commercial losses of about 40%. And I think it's only a state-owned enterprise that can survive when you're losing 40% of your revenue. And so we are going into the phase of private sector participation in the billing and metering to bring private sector efficiency in the revenue collection so that we can pay for the power we take from the independent power producers.
In other business news, Minister for Roads and Highways Kwame Govins Agboja has disclosed that the government will introduce a smart road tolling system by the end of the year. This comes nearly 3 years after the Akufo-Addo administration scrapped road tolls following the passage of the e-levy in 2021. The planned reintroduction of tolls, this time through a digital and automated system, is expected to improve revenue generation while minimizing human interference and leakages.
Speaking at the launch of the National Stakeholders Engagement on the Abidjan-Lagos Corridor Highway project, Govins Agboja argued that fiscal toll booths are fast becoming a nuisance to commuters. The Adaklu MP lauded the decision by ECOWAS to also implement smart road tolling system on the project, linking Ghana to 4 other West African countries, including Ivory Coast, Togo, Benin, and Nigeria.
We've had a situation where people still believe when you want to do tolling, you should build physical barriers on roads to collect tolls. I am very excited to see that the proposal by the consultants look forward to a smart way of tolling roads where people who ought to pay don't have to be obstructed simply because you want them to stop and pay. Rather, you want a free flow of vehicles, yet have the technology to collect this. Indeed, Ghana would roll out a smart road tolling system before the end of this year, which ties in perfectly with what you are trying to do. So we believe this is the way to go, and we thank everybody.
Govins Agboja further charged project managers to ensure that the capacity of locals are built as the project is rolled out. The Adaklu MP urged Ghanaians to take advantage when the time comes.
Imagine when Accra motorway was built, 1965. So we built a road 1965 that is largely still operational before Britain attempted something like that. It tells you our capability if we work together as a people. If we can build a motorway in 1965 before UK built their first London orbital, N1, 10 years later, imagine what we can do if we work together. I believe it's a challenge to the engineer, the quantity surveyor, and all people in the built environment. An opportunity is coming again where you can showcase what we are capable of doing. And I believe working together, this project can be one of the turning points that we can say, yes, Africa means, or West Africa means, actually doing things that actually unite us.
Managing consultant and chief executive officer for the project, David Nwendu, on his part, emphasized the essence of engaging residents in communities to be affected by the over $1 billion project to commence in 2027.
We are going to start to engage the communities, 32 of them in Ghana. In Nigeria, we engaged 6 communities. In Togo, 3. In Benin, we engage 6. In Cote d'Ivoire, 6. But in Ghana, because Ghana has more than 50% of the road, we're engaging 32 communities. It's also important for us to know that these communities would have to partner with us to make this successful.
That's all the business news we have for you this evening. Do stay with us on News Tonight. More news shortly. Hey, welcome back. It's time now for the sports news. Benjamin Yamoa is in studio with all the details. Ben, what have you got for us?
I've got some news on some boxing events in Ghana. We'll focus on that, plus some other stories. Let's begin with the boxing story, where Ghanaian boxing fans have every reason to celebrate after a thrilling night of action at the Hydro White Event Center here in Accra. Now, 2 of the country's formation talents, Emmanuel Mankata Saki and Dana Kofi, delivered a knockout performance to clinch the UBO Continental African titles in decisive fashion against their Nigerian opponents. The victories reaffirmed Ghana's growing influence in the regional boxing, sent a powerful message across the continent on how Ghana boxing is on the rise.
The Hydro White Event Center was electric Friday night as Ghana took center stage in a fierce boxing showdown against Nigeria, hosted by Kabik Promotions. In the headline bout, 26-year-old speech-impaired boxer Emmanuel Mankata Saki made history, delivering a stunning 5th-round knockout against Nigeria's Yusuf Olalekan to win the UBO Super Featherweight title. The crowd erupted as Saki landed the decisive punch, marking his 9th career win and a powerful symbol of resilience and inclusivity in sports. In the co-feature, rising star Dana Kofi overwhelmed Nigeria's Suleiman Olagbade with a 4th-round technical knockout in their UBO Super Welterweight title bout. The 21-year-old Ghanaian speed and power proved too much for the veteran, securing him his 5th professional win and a bright future on the African boxing scene. In the undercard, Daniel Quay of Bronx Gym stopped Michael Akramatete in round 1, while Michael Dakun outpointed Patrick Kujo in a middleweight clash. Emmanuel Quay and Joseph Tego's super welterweight thriller ended in a 5th-round controversy as Frederick Okunka Lawson claimed a 5th-round technical knockout in a low-spirited contest against Justice Adi. As Ghana continues to rise in African boxing, this double title triumph shows the nation is ready to take on the continent and the world.
So some footballing news now. Ghanaian internationals Inaki Williams and Abdul Mumin have been given nominations for the La Liga Africa Player of the Year or the season. The award scheme is used to recognize the best African players in La Liga over the course of the season. This edition features 20 nominees, including Cedric Bakambu, Elias Moriba from Celta Vigo, Musa Diarra, Jene Duanum, Christantus Uche, Ivan Nure, Seydou Cisse, Omar Mascar, Flavian Enzo, Pat Cisse, Randy Inteka, Ujuka, Umar Sadiq, Papa Gay Nicolas from Ivory Coast, and of course Lugan Costa Sabali. Now Williams, who claimed the award last season, is looking forward to defending it with an impressive performance this season with 14 goals and assists in the La Liga in Spain. However, Ghana defender, woman who has been a defensive wall for rival Locano, keeping 6 clean sheets with a goal of the month award in September, is also vying for the same award. The nominations underscore the growing influence of Ghanaian talent in La Liga and African football in general in the Spanish La Liga. That's it. And that's it for sport. Back to you, Natalie, for the rest of the bulletin.
Thanks, Ben, for the sports news. Next on News Tonight, we bring you international news. On the international front tonight, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said Tuesday that he will be waiting for Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin in the Turkish capital this week to conduct face-to-face talks about the more than 3-year war amid heavy pressure from the US and European leaders to reach a settlement. Putin hasn't yet said whether he will be at the talks, which US President Donald Trump has urged the two sides to attend as part of Washington's efforts to stop the fighting. Zelensky told reporters in Kiev that he will be in Ankara on Thursday to conduct the negotiations. He will meet with Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, and the two will wait for Putin to arrive. And that is how we draw the curtains here on News Tonight. Thank you so much for watching. There's much more news on our website, starfm.com.ghi. I'm Natalie Fort. Have a wonderful evening.